The new faction focus series has begun on Warhammer Community, going through each faction to look at what they're going to get as detachments in 11th edition. But that isn't what interests me today. And it's orcs. And what they got doesn't look very new, but put a pin in that until later in the video. This is about the Red Terror. And while it is a Tyranid creature as a Vanguard Invader unit, we Genestealer Cult players can enjoy its presence in the Final Day detachment. What is it? What can it do? And will you be able to effectively include it in your force? The previous model for the Red Terror was pretty small for what it was shown off as in the lore, this massive creature. And then when the Morlock got released for the Tyranids, I assumed that the Red Terror would get an update or a this is the same thing as the Morlock, but painted a different color kind of release. And that hasn't happened for several editions, but now is in the now times, and in the now times we have a Red Terror. Coming soon. Use affiliate links to buy it. And also Celestian Insidiants will be sold separately. Also use affiliate links to buy it. This is a Genestealer Cult video, by the way. The stat line of the Red Terror, it moves 10 inches, its toughness is 8, its save is 3+, it has 9 wounds, a leadership of 8+, and an objective control of 3. That's not the best leadership, and for the Genestealer Cult, we can't use the Synapse rule, so you're going to be taking that 8+ leadership on 2d6. 10-inch move is a fast move, but that's a relatively weak profile. Toughness 8 means that Strength 9 Melter Guns wound it on a 3+. A 3+ save means the Melter Guns deny the save. There is no invulnerable save, and the Red Terror cannot lead any other unit, so there's no protective bodyguard to take the melter shots for it. So we're relying on the damage output it can cause. It has a Gaping Maw, which is a mix between like the Morlock and the Harrowspecs with the precision eating of a character. So it has precision and devastating wounds. Normally that will mean if you roll a 6 to wound, the enemy does not get an armor save or an invulnerable save. We'll come back to this. It is 1 attack, hitting on a 2+, strength 5, no armor penetration, but it's not going to need it, and it does D3 +2 damage. If you can hit and wound the average Space Marine character, you have, less than a 50% chance of killing them, but it's an okay chance of just one-shotting an enemy character. Don't miss that one attack. It's extra attacks, so the Scything Talons and the Gaping Maw can be used at the same time, but as an extra attacks ability, you can't boost the number of attacks you make. You can't have extra attacks on your extra attacks. That's a rule in the rules commentary. Remember that for the new Orc Doc's Urti Syringe when the War comes around. Normally Orcs get an extra attack in that won't affect the Doc's Syringe. The Scything Talons are much more nasty for everything that's not a character. 12 attacks hitting on 2s, strength 7, AP -2, damage 2. That's better than the Morlock Scything Talons, which are only damage 1, but not as good as the very similarly pointed Trigon that has 12 attacks but hitting on 3 at strength 9, AP -2, damage 3. The Red Terror Scything Talons are killing about 4 Space Marines on average. And as a tunneling, burrowing organism, it has Deep Strike. As expected. It's a character. That's important for some of our stratagems. It's an epic hero, meaning you can only have one of it. Great Devourer means it's a Tyranid thing. It's a monster. It's a burrower. That's not going to matter for the Genestealer Cult. It's called the Red Terror. Good. It has its own name as a keyword. And as it has the Vanguard Invader keyword, we Genestealer Cult players can use it in the Final Day. The Final Day video is coming soon. I was waiting on this datasheet, so tell me any tricks you can think of to use the Red Terror in the Final Day that I have not mentioned in this video. Or any tricks I do mention that you're really excited to use. The Red Terror lacks the Synapse keyword, so in a Tyranid army you'd have to have another Synapse creature nearby to get that strength 8 on those Scything Talons, and roll your leadership on 3d6. In the Final Day, it's not a creature that can use the Synaptic Parasitism by itself. As a really big fellow, there are 3 different abilities. Subterranean Hunter. It goes underground and comes back up. We have resistance tunnels in the Final Day, so any of our units can do that. Any Genestealer Cult or Tyranid unit, regardless of where they are on the battlefield, as long as they're not in engagement range. But this ability is free. At the end of the fight phase, if this unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, you can remove it from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves. So this is the end of either player's fight phase, not just the opponent's fight phase. So if you were to charge into combat and slaughter an enemy unit, you can disappear off the table. That's rather important for keeping this unit alive. You've got to pick units that are small, isolated, things you can kill, maybe made up of 5 Space Marines and nothing else, destroy them, disappear, and then you're not getting destroyed in the enemy's coming turn. One of the ultimate hit and run abilities. If the enemy goes first in the game, you'll be able to deep strike with the Red Terror in turn 1. You leave the board at the end of the enemy's turn 1 and arrive in your turn 1. The no arrival from reserves in turn 1 is only applicable to units that started the game in reserves. The Red Terror's 10-inch move lets it get about very quickly, but as a Serpentine Fiend, this model can move through terrain features but cannot end a move within a wall or a floor. Move through terrain is part of what makes the Defilers rather strong at the moment. 40k is a game of movement. If you can get through a ruin instead of having to go around it as a large creature, you gain a lot of speed. It's very useful on the 10th edition tournament style boards, but on 11th edition boards that have a lot of area terrain but not a lot of terrain features, it's not as valuable as an ability. I'm assuming it will let it get through these green terrain features as well as through the yellow terrain features. And its final third ability is Swallow Whole. So each time the Red Terror attacks with its Gaping Maw, and it targets an infantry, a mounted, or a beast unit, each successful unmodified wound roll is a critical wound. So your strength 5 against a toughness 5 orc warboss, you roll a 4, that counts as a critical wound because it is a successful wound, and so the devastating wounds kicks in. No armor save, no invulnerable save for that orc warboss. And each time an infantry, monster, or beast model is destroyed as a result of this attack, the Red Terror regains up to D3+2 lost wounds. You just need to kill one thing. For that reason, you may not want to use precision. Precision is optional. Kill some weaker model that has only 2 wounds. Kill the Marine next to a Space Marine character. Then you'll regenerate the wounds. Now the D3+2 damage is one roll that you make. The number of wounds you get back is D3+2, but that is a separate dice roll. It's not that the number you rolled for damage is the number you get as the lost wounds back, nor is it the number of wounds you caused, not including overspill, because there isn't overspill. So if you were attacking a 4 wound character and you caused 5 wounds to it, you don't regain 4 wounds, you don't regain 5 wounds, you roll a new dice, say you rolled a 1, plus 2, you get 3 wounds back. Getting wounds back is valuable, and that can stack with the final day's synaptic parasitism. Now, the Red Terror doesn't have the synapse keyword, but other synapse creatures can funnel wounds into it. They drain a Genestealer Cult unit, and then the Red Terror regains a number of lost wounds. If you want to know the base size, it's 100mm base. Games Workshop confirmed that in a Facebook post. And it looks really great as a model. I love the idea that it's smashing part of the statue right now, and the statue parts are crumbling around it. That is good. It's going to be 130 points. That is 5 points more than a squad of Raveners, but as a Genestealer Cult player, we don't often take Raveners. We will take hyper-adapted Raveners. And so the Red Terror is cheaper than hyper-adapted Raveners. But in a hyper-adapted Ravener unit, there are 18 wounds compared to the Red Terror's 9 wounds. And a las cannon can only kill 1 hyper-adapted Ravener, a max of 3 wounds caused to the unit. It can do much more damage to the Red Terror. So overall, I fear that the Red Terror will be too breakable. It has lower toughness than a Carnifex and a worse save, and no invulnerable save. A Carnifex is not too difficult to take down in this edition. Yes, if you take some wounds, you can regenerate lost wounds. But causing 9 wounds to a toughness 8 model with a 3+ save and no invulnerable save, for a relatively similar statted unit, how easy is it to take out an orc truck? Or for more context, a Genestealer Cult Goliath truck is tougher and has more wounds than the Red Terror. It is harder to destroy a truck than it is to take out the Red Terror. That is not very tough at all. Going from max health to 0 in one phase is rather likely. So as a character, prepare to use that Avenge the Star Children stratagem. It will be a rather deadly enemy unit that takes down the Red Terror in one go. That is the perfect unit to use Avenge the Star Children on. Then all your Genestealer Cult units get +1 to hit and +1 to wound against that enemy unit for the rest of the game. The Red Terror will be better in the subterranean assault force of the Tyranids, and then the synapse to make its attacks better and its leadership better. In Final Day, it's a better assassin than a Lictor or the other Genestealer Cult assassins. Part of that comes down to the number of damage to attacks shredding the bodyguard, rather than hoping to hit and hoping to wound and rolling high enough in the damage roll to assassinate a character. A good use of a command reroll on the damage to make sure you kill a character. But can you kill a character that's about 130 points? Can you kill them and any bodyguard they had, and then disappear off the board to get a second go to do that? To be on the table and then move very quickly through a wall with your 10-inch move and then charge your chosen target, you'll probably want to use Rapid Ingress. There are so many units in the Genestealer Cult army that want to use Rapid Ingress. The Hyper-Adapted Raveners get to use it for free, and another unit can still Rapid Ingress in the same turn. I'm thinking of Genestealer Cult units that will charge alongside the Hyper-Adapted Raveners in the next player turn, our coming turn, because then we get the Catalyst bonus. Otherwise, I think we may be often risking a 9-inch charge for the Red Terror. Nice unit, probably not going to make the final cut in the Final Day. News for the Final Day in 11th edition. The Final Day will be one of the Genestealer Cult's new and updated detachments. When Games Workshop had mentioned which detachments will be viable into 11th edition, they mentioned the detachments in the Codex and detachments in any campaign books. There have been no Genestealer Cult detachments in campaign books. Now the Orcs are getting 3 new detachments in 11th edition, but only one of them is really new. The Tactical Brigade, Mordaka, and a detachment called Rolling Death about battle wagons. And that seems very similar to the new Blitz Brigade detachment, which also focuses on the battle wagons, kill rigs, and hunter rigs. All of these are described as new detachments. Only one of them is new, and it's not really that new. So if the Genestealer Cult get new detachments, maybe Final Day where we can use Tyranid units is a new/updated detachment. That feels like a bit of a rip-off from what we were seemingly promised. In other rules terms, there's an idea, hypothetically, that Games Workshop has accidentally leaked a precision rule for 11th edition. This is all about wording in a Warhammer community article, which is known to make mistakes. So they mentioned that the Red Terror could use precision to get rid of a sergeant with a power fist. They are not characters. Did Games Workshop forget how precision works? And then have to update the article? Because they did update the article to mention characters with power fists. But we could see a change to precision as a rule. That you can target, say, any model in the unit with precision. But that is very abusable to, say, break unit coherency. Destroy one model in the middle of a unit chain, and half the unit disappears. Have a look at any other rules you may have missed that were mentioned about 11th edition, and have a great day of 40k.